G'day everyone and welcome to Sci-Fi Weekly. Wednesday marked the end of Commander Scott Kelly's year in space. He's been working aboard the International Space Station with Russian cosmonaut Mikhail Korniyenko, testing the limits of human research, space exploration and the human spirit. While most expeditions to the station last between 4 and 6 months, the American and Russian have spent twice as long in orbit researching the effects of long-duration spaceflight on the human body. And just because Commander Scott is back on terra firma doesn't mean the mission's over. NASA scientists will continue to monitor his sleep patterns and exercise routines. And his twin brother, retired astronaut Mark Kelly, will participate in comparative genetic studies. Mark and Mikhail have spent 342 days in orbit, and of course all of this research goes to aiding the goal of human spaceflight to Mars and beyond. A few days ago, Tommy Kraft premiered Star Trek Horizon, his love letter to the Star Trek franchise. I got to catch up with him a few weeks ago. Here's just some of that chat.
Everything that I stood for, everything that I thought humanity should be.
It takes place in the year 2160, so it's during the time of Enterprise, the final Star Trek show, and it's about the war with the Romulans. Enterprise was gearing up to do this storyline when they went off the air, when they were unfortunately canceled. So my approach to the storytelling and to the film was to create a film that anybody could watch and enjoy, but would also close up story threads that were left hanging when Enterprise was canceled.
Tell us about the cast.
Well, the cast are all, well, at least they were. Some of them have since moved away now, because we shot, this movie's been 3 years in the making, but they were all local to the Michigan area. They're, all actors that are pursuing acting, or some of them might just be doing it on a hobbyist level, but they still really like doing it. But, I all found them in the area either through a casting call or, I'd worked on another project. For instance, Paul Lang, I've told this story before, the guy who plays my captain. He was in a short film written and directed by Mark Bowers, who is the guy who plays my second in command, Commander Jackson Gates. And I knew Mark because I had worked with him on one of my own projects, or a couple of my own projects previously. So I knew Mark, and then I worked on Mark's project with Mark, which is where I met Paul. And then when I met Paul, for some reason I thought, hey, this guy would be a great captain. Just something about his look and his performance. And so I remembered him. And when I eventually wound up making a fan film, I didn't have plans to at the time. I contacted him and I was like, hey, Paul, don't know if you remember me, but I'd like you to be in my fan film.
On Wednesday, I spoke with noted Trek historian Larry Nemecek. He's a good friend of mine. We spoke about Star Trek Horizon and Nicholas Meyer joining Star Trek 6. Larry, you've had a chance to watch a couple of minutes of Star Trek Horizon. What are you thinking so far?
Well, it's great. It shows, I think that's the epitome of fan filming. And I should say, and boy, are my arms tired. Horizon is on my list of things to do. But I just had like 3 weeks worth of stuff stacked up here. But I talked to Tommy a little bit early on, I think on one of the other podcasts. We talked sideways, laterally. And I've seen, nothing but good things going by, and good on him. He had for Kickstarters of what, 50,000, I think, and got there and has given people teases along the way. Majesty. And good on him for jumping into an era that hasn't had a lot of attention put into it. The Archer era, the founding of the Federation Romulan Wars era. So,
well, Nick has said he conducted an interview a couple of days ago, and he said that the show's going to go in a different direction. How do you interpret that comment?
I know. And then I saw the internet melt down. A different direction? What does that mean? I go, it's what a guy who can't talk about a show says. No, we're going to go in the same old stale direction. Don't look for anything new. I mean, what? That's what he's supposed to say? But it's enigmatic. You don't know if he's talking about timeline, universe, or what era, or if it's going to be, a series of standalone one-offs that don't even relate to each other. If it'll be a different if it'd be like an anthology Star Trek, or if it'll be a Klingon show or whatever. We don't know what that means. But I've enjoyed watching people just, imagine the worst.
Doug Drexler, the man of many talents, working behind the scenes on The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, Battlestar Galactica and Defiance, sat down for a chat last week as well, talking more Star Trek 6 news. With Nick Meyer being announced as a producer and writer on the new Trek TV show, surely it's only a matter of time until your name's announced.
Wouldn't I love to? I have no idea whether I'll be involved with it. I'm sure that I haven't heard anything from any of my friends. No one that I know of has been in meetings with them yet. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, it could be like J.J. Abrams, where they want to have an entirely. So many things figure in to what's going to happen. I mean, look, you might have a unit production manager who has worked in the past, say for visual effects, has worked with a team on 3 projects before. Those are the people he's going to want to get, So I have no idea. I'd love to.
And I think that we're probably in the best position to see a TV series set back in the Prime universe, given that there seems to be a bit of a distinguishing. They seem to want to have this distinguishing between the movies and the TV series, unlike the past where it's been all in together and we'll all share the rights and we'll all share the universe. I just get the sense that Paramount want their own property and CBS want their own property.
Well, it's showing the fans that there are people over there who understand what they're not happy about, which is fantastic news. Now, CBS and Paramount are kind of 2 different entities now. I think that Paramount is the movies and this TV series is CBS. And I don't think that either. I don't know what the deal is, but as I understand it through the grapevine is that each group can do whatever they want with the property. The television arm can do whatever. I mean, hopefully it'll be done in the Prime universe, be the universe that we've known and loved. If it was me, I'd like to see it in the future beyond where we've been. Because I think one of the things about Star Trek that I always loved, and we don't have so much anymore, is it was always a showcase for new technologies.
Doug, earlier this month, you lost a close friend in Anthony Fredrickson. He was a member of the Star Trek family as well. Can you tell us a little bit about Anthony's work on the show?
Well, first I should start by saying that Anthony and I were friends for 50 years. I met him in like 7th grade social studies class. And he had been with me on almost every adventure and job I had been on. I mean, when we ran the Federation Trading Post, he was there. And when we did the poster books, he was there. And when we were at the very first Star Trek convention in the 70s together, and then when I got into makeup, I brought him along there, and he was with us on all the makeup jobs, and Dick Tracy, and, when I went to the art department and the opportunity came up to bring him in, that's when Anthony came in. And I think he came in around 3rd season or something on Deep Space Nine. And he was just really, the thing is you try to get a group of people together that feels like family. And that's really what we had with Mike and Denise and Jim Vanover and Anthony and me and, people with a history and had a shared childhood for sure. Mike hired him to come in and do scenic with us, and that meant lots of backlights. And I think I was saying that one of Anthony's great talents was kludging things together. And when we were doing DS9 at the time, there was no CG yet, so sometimes visual effects would run out of money, and they would need a model of a Klingon space station or something like that. And Gary Hutzel and Dan Curry knew that they could come up to the art department, and we could kludge something together we had a lot of stuff we kept in the back room that we, old model kits and stuff we found in the trash. And you could take that and glue it together, put lights on it, paint it, put insignias on it, and you'd have like a relay station or something like that. And Anthony was great at that.
Doug Drexler there speaking about Anthony Fredrickson, a longtime friend and colleague working on Star Trek. Sadly, in the days following that interview with Doug, the Star Trek family lost Gary Hutzel, a member of the visual effects team who worked on The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. My thoughts to Gary's family and also to all of his colleagues and everyone reeling at the sudden and tragic loss of Gary Hutzel. All right, time for a quick change of pace. Glen Morris joins me now from the Queen Street Mall in Brisbane's CBD. Mate, you're standing in front of your new shop. It's an empty shell at the moment, but what have you got planned?
Well, at the moment, we're kind of making it up as we go, but the idea is for it to be the most awesomest thing we can possibly think of. So we just want to make it something extraordinary. We want to do the Death Star Canteen. Anyone has any ideas of what would be great, let us know, because we're just kind of throwing things at it. I just ordered a Lego Death Star that's going to be hanging from the ceiling somewhere. Basically, we just want to make it the awesomest possible place you can turn up, have food, drink, coffee, have fun. It's going to be sensational.
Where did the inspiration come from?
Huge Eddie Izzard fans, so we love the Death Star Canteen clip. Big Star Wars fans, possibly not as hardcore as your audience, but we're working on that. So yeah, I've always wanted to open a proper cafe, and I wanted to do something fantastically fun, and this just seemed like the funnest thing we could possibly do. So I threw it out there as a stupid idea, and my mates and I just kind of looked at each other and went, let's do it. So that's the point that we've got to, and I kept waiting for someone sensible to tell me not to, but so far it hasn't happened. So unless the lawyers ring up next week and shout at me, this is what we're going with, so it's going to be great.
What style, obviously you've said cafe, but what style of eatery are you aiming for?
It's going to be really fun. The food is actually, it's going to be a bit of an interesting mix. It's going to be an incredibly fun, silly place with really, really high-end, delicious food. We've actually modelled it on a provincial Italian sandwich bar, so we're going to be doing incredibly, incredibly good sandwiches. Just had Benetton Bakeries come on board as the bread supplier. We're going to be doing really good quality, small farmer produced food, custom made condiments. It's going to be actually really, really delicious. The idea is people come in for the fun, have something to eat, and then just go, holy shit, it's actually really amazing food, because it's no good going to a place to have an experience and then ordering food and the food actually not being that great. So we really do want the food to be something also extraordinary. So that's what we're going for.
Will the wait staff be force assisted?
Oh yeah, I mean, hiring staff at the moment. If anyone wants to work here, let me know. Looking for chefs, baristas and general dogs bodies. Henchmen, we're going to be calling them. We just want people who are going to have fun. I mean, hospitality should be fun. If the staff aren't having fun, the customers aren't having fun. So the whole point of it is for everyone here to have a really good time. And if we're not having fun, no one else will. So, you know, the idea of it is that it's going to be a place where I'm going to be happy to spend 50 hours a week. Hopefully that just translates into everyone else having a really good time as well.
And when can we expect the cafe to open?
Oh, there's only one way to do it, isn't there? The lease just happened to start on May the 1st, and we just kind of looked at each other and went, it has to be May the 4th, obviously. It's getting a bit scary now because I'm telling all these journalists that it's happening on May the 4th, and if it doesn't, then we're in trouble. But in a way, it'd be kind of appropriate if the Death Star wasn't operational when it was meant to be. But at the moment, May the 4th is when it's happening, and it's looking like it's going to be absolutely amazing. We actually just had someone contact us who wants to do a stand-up comedy hypnosis routine based on the Star Wars universe, so that'll be happening. We've got some music happening, all sorts of people turning up in costumes. So it's really, I think it's going to be something really amazing, so should be great.
Glen, it sounds absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait for the grand opening of the Death Star Canteen.
Awesome. It's going to be fantastic. Thanks, Matt.
Well, that is it for this massive final edition of Sci-Fi Weekly for this season. Thanks so much for supporting the podcast over the last 9 episodes. I hope to bring you many more when we return on April 17 live from Lithgow, New South Wales for Iron Fest, followed by a 3-week road trip to Canberra, the Australian national capital. Get in touch with me on all of these social media channels. Say g'day. I'd love to have a chat. But for now, I'm Matt Miller. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in a month.